Hey everyone, Luke here, and I am quite pissed off. Now, it's nothing to do with Dr. Stone, that's nothing to do with it. It's with The Promised Neverland Season 2. Now, if you're wondering if you're an anime only, like, oh, why is that the case, Luke? I've been enjoying the Season 2 of The Promised Neverland. Okay. Let's look at it this way. Imagine you're a fan of a manga and the manga is getting an anime adaptation. And then that anime adaptation decides to take out your favourite arc. That's pretty much how I'm feeling right now. Yeah, I know I said I'd do What's the Difference, like go through the entire series of The Promised Neverland, but at this point, there's no point in doing it like for every single episode, so I'm just gonna do one straight video when that finishes, talking about that, and also fingers crossed gonna be doing another video talking about it on Control Chaos's channel. Hopefully doing a collab with them coming up this week. Fingers crossed on that. But that's all I wanted to say. I just wanted to get that point across, just give you a little taste of why I'm so pissed off at this point. But anyway, for now, let's just dive right into Dr. Stone chapter 183. Alright, so this will be chapter 183, titled Stone Sanctuary. And first thing I'm going to talk about is I don't know how I'm going to be able to actually do this. If I can turn it around. Yeah, there we go, that's better. Is talk about this cover page with Chelsea getting those legs up there, Chelsea. And I can say this because she is of age. She's 19 or possibly 20, depending on when she was actually born at this point. Because she was 19 when she was first introduced, and obviously we've jumped into the new year at this point, so she might be 20. But suffice it to say, she is of age, so we can say this. So yeah, and loving the long hair in the back as well. Okay, okay. I'm gonna stop it there. All right, so let's just flip it back up. Okay, so the chapter starts off with the team at Corn Sea basically celebrating, like, yeah, we've made a diamond and it started from scratch. And Joel even confirms that, because he's an expert, that he can actually generally clarify that this is a genuine diamond. But however, it's only as big as a grain of sand, and it's way too small to serve as a Medusa, and they have to make it bigger. And of course, Senku being Senku, like he did this back in the communications arc, where they were like, we built the cell phone, yay! So how are we going to communicate to people, Senku? It's like, oh yeah, I left this out deliberately, we're going to have to build another cell phone. And everyone's just like, what? He does the exact same thing here, where he's like, yeah, making larger diamonds in lab is next to impossible, so you're going to have to dig up some natural diamonds. And everyone is freaking out. It's like, we went through all that hard work and you didn't tell us that. And Magma being Magma is like, you're gonna get killed for that, and you're gonna get killed for that, Senku, for us working our asses off to make that diamond, and for you to actually say, yeah, you're dead meat. And normally I'd be pissed off with Magma at that point, but yeah, Senku, you've done that way too much at this point, so maybe tone it down a little bit. But anyway, he goes on to say that diamonds are just carbon, another type of stone that's hanging out in the earth, and at this moment in time, if they can get their hands on these stones, it'll transform into treasure. As Chelsea is able to quickly identify that from where they are in Xeno's castle, it should take them about a week, if they're actually walking, to actually get to the source of the diamonds, which is in which is at the Lesen Peak area, which has got a volcano dome. And shield volcanoes, cinder cones, and staritodal volcano action, all packed up so close that it could explode basically. And the last eruption was in the year 1900, and because it's been several thousand years since then, it's more than likely that they'll be okay. But of course, I just love this, and the fact that it's normally this would be a reaction of one of the Ishigami Village people, where again it's like, Can I get that? Can I get an interpreter for that? Come again. I just love the fact that Gen's the one's actually saying that. It's like, yeah, this is going way over my head here. Xeno, Senku, can you help me? Can you help me out here? And Xinu's saying, like, was that way too fast for you? Yeah, it was, because Chelsea was just getting really excited. So she was probably speaking like, let's PK, it's gone to shield volcanoes. So she was probably speaking like that. And I can't wait to see Chelsea's voice in the anime, which, by the way, Dr. Stone anime is better than the Promised Neverland anime, and I don't care what anyone says about that. Sorry, I just had to go on a little bit of a rant there. But anyway, as we see Magma and Kiru basically make it to the mountain area, so that little panel probably took place over the course of a week for them to actually get there to actually mine the diamonds. Senku goes on to say, pop quiz, which is tougher, lab-made diamonds or natural diamonds? Okay, so we're going basically for natural power versus man-made power, basically, here. As Taiju says, oh, I know, gotta be the natural ones. Chrome's like, oh yeah, I'm betting it's the ones made with science, which you know Chrome was gonna say something like that. Although I kind of have to agree with Control Chaos here. It's a little bit weird that Chrome and Taiju of all people are the ones that are actually having this argument. It'd make more sense if it was Chrome and Kohaku who are having this argument. So yeah. I'm still not entirely sure, so that's something I've got to give to them. But I'm going to get into something that they brought up in their review that I have to correct them on. And I've corrected them in their comment section, but I'm doing it on my own video as well. Yeah, continuing on. Xeno goes on to say, and there we are. The unformed belief that nature produces higher quality resource than man. Of course, Cena would be saying something like this. So you'd be like, "Oh yeah, it's the belief that nature can do things better than man can do." He goes on to say, "How perfectly ironic, the one without the prestigious benefit of 21st century knowledge is managed to arrive at the correct answer." And we see Chrome sticking his tongue out to Taiju. It's like, nah, I was better than you, Taiju. Which again, I still have mixed feelings on that reaction between Taiju and Chrome. It'll make more sense if it was like Chrome and Kohaku. As they explained that the lab ones are basically harder than the natural ones, they're going to have to grind them down into a rasp-like sandpaper. And Ryusui adds this by saying if they grind them down and polish a big natural diamond with the smaller lab one, it will make a brand new diamond that will fit perfectly inside the Medusa. So they're basically like saying, like, basically doing an eyes and ears, like, okay, I've got my Hogyoku, I need to get Uehara's Hogyoku, and basically combine them together. It's something similar. It's similar here. That's going on here. Joel clarifies that he only needs to craft a diamond identical to the blackened ones, and given that he's a professional, he can obviously get that going. He can obviously get that going and making it to the liking to get the Medusa going. Sorry, I stumbled a bit on my words there. But I just love the reaction here from Nikki and Joel. See, this is more appropriate reaction here because Nikki was one of the people who was there when Joel was revived. So it makes more sense for her to be saying, like, we're rooting for you since all we can do. And Joel, basically being Joel, is the one who's flustering over this, like, yeah, that's fine. But again, I like to think that once Joel gets acquainted more with the women of the Kingdom of Sight, he'll be less likely to be blushable or basically have no idea how to interact with the women around here. I get the feeling that more time he spends with them, the more time he's going to be like, okay, I know how these people are, so I can work my personality around to kind of like treat them as well as I would want to be treated. Like I said when it was first introduced, I like to imagine that Joel has even though it says like he's rude to men, shy around women, I like to think there's a few exceptions in his life that basically contradicts with that rule. Like the women in his family and the men in his family, I like to think he treats them like any normal person would. So I like so again. Once he gets more creative with these people, I like to think he'll soften up to them and basically be less shy around them and less mean around them, depending on their gender. After Joel makes this declaration, Senku announces that the globe-tropping team at this point will be losing communication from Corn City, and everyone's freaking out by this. But it actually does make sense because, given the off chance that Stanley's gang is traveling all the way around South America, if they were to even pick up on what they were doing, it's more than like okay, they're coming from there and we're supposed to be a stealth ship here, so they have to keep communication going out the stealth ship as less as possible. So that's why they're saying like, okay, now that we're at this point, when we know what you guys are doing, we cannot communicate because we cannot let Stanley pick up on what we're actually doing here. And this is the point where they won't get to talk again until the battle is over. Although there is one thing I want to bring up here, and it's the fact that this guy right there, you see the guy standing next to my. You've got the guy standing next to Magma and then the guy to the other side. Okay, now, I didn't pick up on this. Caleb Cook, the translator for Dr. Stone, the official translator, basically picked up on this. And that is Carbon, basically one of the Ishigami village people that are basically minor characters. But they have appeared before, and I just wanted to bring that attention to people that it's kind of like, oh wow, they actually brought more people from Ishigami Village than we originally anticipated. Although it may be the case of like that's probably just a misdrawing, and that was probably meant to be Mantle or someone like that. I don't know, but I still have no idea why he was actually put in this chapter. As they finish the communication with Joel and basically say that at this point it's going to be a one-way communication from the end of Corn City's end. Again goes on to say some roundabout phrasing so as to not give away our true intention regarding this mini mountain of Medusas that they have. How are they going to plan to use it against Stanley's army? And as they're discussing this, we see Xeno being ever so sneaky and using basically a wire copper like spring type thing, the thing that you would find in like clothes pegs, like those like little round springy things that you would find. Hold on a second, guys. Okay, so it's something like that that Xenu is messing about with his his finger claw thing, and Taiju is the one to actually pick up on this. And Xenu's like, oh, don't mind me, I'm just in thought when I'm fidgeting. But Taiju, from what I can tell on this panel, is like, right, sure, I know that's how it is sometimes. I feel like he doesn't believe what Senku is, what Xenu is saying here, as we see him sort of like flicking his finger back and forth in this wire, almost, and we see him going, and we see like almost as if he's sending a message to someone, and we all know who this is. But of course, on Twitter they had to make fun of this. So when he's wagging his finger in the metal coil, somebody made it so it was going up and down in that way. So we know, okay, Xenu, we know you miss Stanley, we miss his woohoo, and we know you miss it, but come on. But again, I just love how neutral Xeno is in this. Like, he's just mainly out for himself, and this is my fear of what's going on here. Like, he's using this as sort of like the Control Chaos guys had plenty of theories about what Xeno's true intention is, and my theory that I like, which was one of the theories they didn't come up with, was that Xeno is finding it more fun to actually be like, okay, Stanley is going to be chasing us, and I'm going to be captured. It'll be more fun to actually test not just Senku, but also Stanley as well. So that's why he's kind of like relaying information to both sides, and it's kind of giving him a little bit of fun that he's probably not had in a long time. So he's kind of like testing both of them to see which side he'll probably side with in the end. So it's a test for both Senku and Stanley. But anyway, continuing on, they say, but say Joel does figure out the trick to making Medusas, even if he explains it to us, how are we going to do it ourselves? Okay, this is something that the Control Chaos guys didn't pick up on, because it's actually, because they were like, Yeah, because they were confused about how they're actually going to make the diamonds if they actually have to go back to get the diamonds from Corn City. And I'm surprised they actually didn't pick up on this, because it's explained right here. Because Kazuki basically says what Red said, like, even if Joel does figure out a way to make the battery for the Medusa, and he explains to us how they're going to do it themselves, they literally say it in this chapter. So Red, it is there, it is in the chapter. You've just got to keep paying attention and look at every single panel when you're actually coming up with your points. And I know that I know it's getting a bit heated. I apologise. I love you, Red, but you kind of missed it there, because Kazuki, old man Kazuki, literally says what you were actually confused about. And Chrome adds to this train of thought by saying, yeah, without the key components, without the key component, the diamond, how are we even going to combat Stanley? And he even questions where they're actually going at this point, and they're going to Ariax, which is a city kind of like in the heart of Brazil. So it's a few miles away from Rio de Janeiro. So it's kind of like in the heart of Brazil, sort of down at the end of the Amazon rainforest. At least that's from the information that I got on this. And it was a multiplicity in Brazil, the sprawling Amazon rainforest and some crazy long rivers gave rise to miracle veins of ore, and a whole bunch of earth rare materials, and it's basically like a stone sanctuary. So they're of rare earth materials, which include diamond, and this is the location where they'll need to. This is the location or home of the metal that they'll need for rocket fuel that can't be found anywhere else. And Senku brings up like heap of diamonds and gems too. So again, saying to control chaos, it is in the chapter. You just gotta pay more attention rather than going off on your I love your tangents, guys, but they are getting a bit out of hand. They are getting a bit out of hand recently. So just my advice: pay more attention when you're reading the chapters, and not a flag at you guys. I love your reviews, but again, it was explained here, so maybe you should be more paying attention to the chapter. But anyway, this is where they'll be finding Super Alloyed City in Arax, Brazil. And again, I love the fact that we're going to different locations, different locations. We're not going to like the obvious locations, like when it was like announced that Corn City would be the one in the good old USA. A lot of us probably thought like, oh, they're going to go to New York. No, they're actually going to go to California. And the same thing with Brazil. It's like, oh, they're probably going to go to Rio. No, they're actually going to go to Ariax. So again, love that we're getting various locations, and they're not the most predictable locations in this series, that they're actually going to be setting up these cities. Also, another thing I'd like to point out is that a lot of people are saying about the pacing of this arc, but I think it's going at pretty steady pace here. And like they said, they're going to be the whole point of this arc was to kill two birds with one stone, find out the origin of the Medusa, and also set up Super Alloy City. So I'm glad we're getting back to actually the main meat of this arc now, like actually setting up Super Alloy City. So we might be in this arc for like 20 chapters at most. That's what I'm saying. 20 chapters at most for the rest of this arc, or maybe just round it out and go up to 40 chapters. So like 40 chapters for this arc. I'd be personally happy with that. It depends how long they're going to be setting up Super Alloy City and how long it's actually going to take to combat Stanley. But anyway, continuing on, Karaka goes on to say, so they're planning to build up as one of the cities there, and it'll also give them diamonds for the Medusa battery, so that it's two birds with one stone. So again, Kohaku explains it in this chapter, guys. But anyway, Gen goes on to say, I suppose the Xeno had an inkling that Ariax was the ultimate destination of South America that they were actually going to, and Xeno knew that Senku wouldn't overlook the valuable resources that were needed for building the rocket ship after all. Before he starts clicking away as well, obviously sending out some sort of signal to Stanley, which we cut back to Stanley, and he finally picks up on this signal where they're getting some weird static communication, and we see Mr. Radar going, a meaningless signal, but definitely man-made noise. The pattern is too regular to be neutral. And we see Stanley figuring out that it must have worked if the junior science Brigade's outgoing message, and it's from Xeno, and it's some sort of warning to them. And as they're discussing, like what that warning could actually mean, they pick up radar jamming a stealth ship. Before they think back to when Xeno was actually blinking Morse code to Stanley, and this is where Stanley figures out that the goal is Ariax, and of course they start changing course to the final destination, hoping to get there before Senku and his crew get there and corner them, get Xeno back, and basically the Junior Science Brigade. So to talk about where Senku actually landed, I was trying to pinpoint on a map based on the panel where you see the stealth ship basically dock on a beach, and the only thing I could find it is that they've sort of like docked in Felix 1, which is off the coast of Theater, something like that, and Costa Beach, like sort of in that area of Brazil that they've probably docked in. It's basically around there. Like, I don't know if you get, so like around that area that they've probably docked in. That's basically the only way I could actually figure out like where they've actually docked. But anyway, continuing on, Senku brings up that they're not quite there yet, as Suika questions that, oh, are we here yet? Before Ryusui goes on to say, with a wicked quick shortcut, they'll be able to reach the destination on foot, as we see them basically create an elevator, which is basically more like a vertical rope way. So basically, in the same way that they used to cross the ravine, they're basically doing it to go horizontal at this point. As we see a map trajectory of where Stanley is and where Senku's team is, but of course, Stanley being Stanley and being as quick as he is, says, we've made it here first. Now when the kiddies show up, we'll make Swiss cheese out of them. As we cut back one more time to Corn City, when we see Joel working on the diamond, and saying, once I've perfected the diamond battery method, humanity will have the Petra beam on their side. And Senku says, getting some diamonds for the battery will give us our best fighting chance against Stanley and Medusa machine gun to turn the tide. This final battle will go deep down in the Amazon at Stone Sanctuary. So see Senku giving a cheeky grin, and that's where the chapter ends. So, wow, what a chapter. Now, I'm going to go through my theories of what could happen in a second. Okay, so here are my theories of what could actually happen. Alright, first of all, this has been going too easy for the Kingdom of Science. Right, I don't know if you guys have actually noticed this, but their look, because you know how their look is actually quite crap at times, especially for Senku. He's not the luckiest person in the world, and he fails a bunch of times the first time until he actually gets it right. And this has been going way too easy for the Kingdom of Science, and I'm just kind of keep you guys wary that this arc might go on a little bit longer, because, like I said, it's going too easy for them. It really is going too easy for them. So I reckon what's going to happen is that Stanley is going to arrive where they're actually going to get their destination first, and he's going to make it so that a few of the team will actually get separated from each other, and have to like actually regroup, or also keeping track of Stanley and his forces, so that it will not only narrow down Stanley to obviously Senku and Xeno, like he'll have to confront them, but his other team as well getting regrouped, and obviously we have Matsukasa and Ginru on the Perseus, so maybe they'll reunite with the Kingdom of Science at some point. Who knows? But also we have to talk about Mozu, because he's sort of like disappeared at some point and never really showed up. So he might turn up himself at some point. But who knows? That's just my theory, because again, like I said, it's been going way too easy for them, and Senku's getting a little bit too cocky for his own good, when he should be thinking about yes, Stanley is still on our tail and he could show up at any point. And there were panels in the chapter where he was like thinking like, is Xeno sending some sort of signal to Stanley? You can see it in Senku's face that he was probably actually thinking that. But I reckon the team are just going to get separated, and they'll have to regroup back together, also having to deal with Stanley's forces at this point. But again, like I said, they're talking about using a Medusa weapon against Stanley, a Medusa machine gun, and I don't want that. I don't want that to work against Stanley. I want something unique because, like I said, that would basically be a repeat of what happened with Ibarra, and I don't want them to keep relying on the Medusa to take care of the villains in this series. So that's just my opinion on what's going to happen. But anyway, guys, what did you think of this chapter? Let me know. Like, subscribe, comment, all that jazz. And this will be Lasher Luke signing off. Later, guys. Also stay tuned for some more tier lists that I've been doing on my channel as well, and fingers crossed, hopefully doing the Control Chaos Promised Neverland Season 2 anime bashing. Fingers crossed, hopefully looking forward to that. But anyway, later guys.